Hello, my name is Teresa, and I'm here to share a little bit about myself and what I do as a practitioner and coach with Monarch Integrative Coaching. I specialize in working with people who are coping with chronic illness symptoms that have a vague explanation or are often tagged by the word syndrome or idiopathic. Things like fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, ME, long COVID, multiple chemical sensitivities, dysautonomia, chronic Lyme, and chronic pain. I too suffered from several of these disorders and have spent the last 9 years going from being fully bedbound and dependent on my family to expanding my capacity and living a full life. What I share here comes from my own personal experience. I truly understand what it's like to be unwell and to feel stuck and uncertain about whether or not you will ever get better. I was very determined to heal. I believed it was possible, but I just didn't know how to put it all together, which left me feeling frustrated, blamed, and afraid. It took years to finally put all the pieces together, and now I want to pay it forward by supporting others on their own healing journeys. Healing truly begins with safety. When I say safety, that doesn't mean the absence of discomfort or challenge. What safety means to me is the ability to anchor in a sense of okayness, connectedness, and trust as we navigate discomfort and challenge. It's the ability to reorient to cues of safety over constant cues of danger and threat. This has an overwhelming impact on our brain, our nervous system, and our overall health. So, cultivating safety could look like recognizing when you are sitting in fear of something that could happen but isn't happening, and redirecting your awareness to the now, which usually happens to be relatively safe. Because your brain doesn't know the difference between yesterday, today, or tomorrow, you can generate the same stress response to an anticipated danger or a past danger as you can to a danger in real time. That's a lot of time reacting to danger that serves absolutely no purpose other than making you mentally, emotionally, and physically unwell. What I didn't know for many years was the connection between my brain, my nervous system, and the chronic symptoms my body was expressing. I was told that it was all in my head, but nobody could explain exactly how or why that was happening. Instead, that concept was directed at me as more of an accusation, and it felt deeply shaming. So, how are the brain and nervous system connected to chronic symptoms? Our brain is wired for protection. This wiring has served us well for a very long time. However, the environment we currently live in has changed a lot faster than our brain has adapted. Today, we are exposed to different kinds of stress that continuously activate our survival responses. Our bodies are adapted to short term stress and survival responses, not chronic stress and chronic survival responses. The more often we engage a stress response, the better our brain and nervous system get at it. So, practice makes perfect. The more we practice stress, the more hypersensitized the brain and nervous system become. The nervous system and brain work together to decipher whether or not something is safe or dangerous. The nervous system is always scanning internally, so our internal environment. It's always scanning externally to the external environment, and it scans from one nervous system to another to pick up cues of threat or danger or safety. That information then gets sent up to the brain for analysis, and a decision is made about whether it's a danger or it's safe. So, what I didn't understand for a very long time is that the brain can make mistakes in interpreting signals from the nervous system. It can believe that something is a threat when it's actually harmless. It does this not because it hates us, but because it's trying so hard to protect us. When the brain determines that something is a threat, it can turn on a danger signal to let us know that something is wrong. So, this is what is happening when you sprain your ankle and your brain turns on a pain signal. You don't actually feel pain in the ankle, believe it or not. Pain doesn't exist in the body. It's actually 100% experienced in your brain. This is why people with amputated limbs can feel phantom limb pain. It can't be in the limb itself because it no longer exists. So the brain turns on the pain signal to warn you that there is damage to the ankle, and walking on it further could create more damage. What's super fascinating, however, is the brain does this not only with pain signals, but with countless other signals and symptoms. And here's the kicker: sometimes the brain misinterprets information and turns on pain and symptoms when there isn't damage or danger in the body. The other thing that's fascinating about the brain is that it can turn on danger signals in response to any type of threat. It can turn on a pain signal in any part of your body when it perceives an emotional threat, a social threat, an environmental threat, just as it does to a physical threat like a sprained ankle. Our brains are struggling more to interpret signals correctly these days due to the constant influx of information and stress, which hypersensitizes the brain and nervous system and causes us to express more symptoms even when there's nothing physically going on with the body. This is why a lot of people will go to doctor after doctor and they run test after test, and there's no conclusive evidence of something physiologically going wrong with the body other than maybe it shows high inflammation levels or an immune response, which the brain can also turn on inflammation and immune reactions. So I want people to know that this happens to everyone. I don't think there is a single person who has not experienced mind-body symptoms. I think that a lot of us carry so much shame around this concept that our brain can turn on symptoms because it makes us feel like we're crazy, but this is actually a normal human phenomenon. There are types of people who tend to experience this phenomenon more often than others. So, people who have experienced early childhood trauma, people who are highly sensitive, people who've experienced prolonged chronic stress or adversity, people who experience anxiety and depression, which are also mind body symptoms, by the way, and people who are perfectionistic or have disordered eating. These people are more likely to have a hypersensitized brain and nervous system because of having so many inputs of stress and reactivity. And so they have a more sensitized brain, and the more sensitized your brain is, the more likely it is to um, misperceive the information that's coming from the nervous system. So the question is, what do we do about this? And can it be reversed? And the answer is yes, it can. We can learn how to detect when our brain has misinterpreted something as dangerous, and we can communicate a more accurate message. So I advocate doing this in two ways. One is working globally on increasing cues of safety and decreasing cues of danger. The other is working directly with the danger signals and reappraising them as safe. So this does two things. Practicing cues of safety over cues of danger downregulates the hypersensitivity in your brain and nervous system, which helps it to make fewer errors. And working directly with the danger signals and reappraising them as safe sends a message to the brain to turn off the symptom or the pain signal. You become the driver of your own body rather than allowing it to go on autopilot without support from your conscious mind. So these are a few of the things I teach as a coach. I provide psychoeducation for you to really grasp what's happening and understand the science behind it. Then I teach you how to slowly dose your body with cues of safety in a way that it can take in. So, sometimes um, sometimes we have to kind of slowly dose that. So it's kind of like a drip system in hard clay soil. We give small cues of safety that our nervous system can take in and integrate. And so you have to go slow sometimes. Finally, I show you how to reappraise the symptoms in your body by witnessing them through a lens of safety using mindfulness practices so your brain can turn off the signals that are causing you so much discomfort. Now, each person is unique and requires different tools and starting points, and I meet you where you are and work with you to find the right balance and approach that's right for you. I offer a lot of different tools like nervous system regulation, the safe and sound protocol, and the understanding of someone who has been there and truly knows the complex experience of being unwell. I also offer safe and sound protocol group listening experiences that run a few times a year. This is an awesome and low cost way to do the SSP, and I find that groups are a better overall way of experiencing the SSP even over private delivery. If you are curious about me, head to my website at monarchintegrativecoaching.com and see what I have to offer and check out my resources. Thanks so much.